Evening folks, I am back from my holiday. I have caught the sun. It was really sunny in Brighton, and on Thursday I mostly slept on the beach. I mostly read on the beach actually and had a little kip. Anyway, I've had a really interesting comment come through today, and it was in relation to the video I did about using the Pro1 as a USB to control voltage converter. So the Behringer Pro1, you can obviously control it with USB from your DAW. So therefore, if you control your MIDI with a MIDI controller, or Z1 in my case, you can then take that signal into the Pro1 through USB, and then you can take control voltage out of the Pro1 into whatever bit of kit that you've got. Now, what Nick was asking, I glanced at the manual for this and would love to know if you can answer this question. I read that the MIDI in can also send CV and gate when connected via the 5-pin DIN. Is this true? And then he wants to get a Pro1, which is a very good decision because it's excellent. And then he wants us to send it to the Moog Workstat. So that was a little sort of like workshop synth almost that came out of one of the Moog sessions, engineering sessions that they had, and then a couple of years ago they sold it with a little expansion pack you could buy, and it's probably like, well, I think it is basically the cheapest Moog thing that you can buy. It's about 200 quid. So he wants to do, and he wants to control his work stat via the Pro1. Good idea. Now, I didn't know the answer to this, so I've set the experiment up, and if you want to watch up to this point, the answer is yes. It works exactly the same as if you were controlling your Pro1 with USB, except you control it with the 5-pin DIN MIDI cable, right? So that's what I'm doing today. So I'm going to show you the setup. I'm going to show you how I set up my Pro1. I'm going to show you how I've set up my modular system. And so what we're hearing, that's a combination of the Pro1 and my little modular rig. We can turn the Pro1 off. That's a triangle wave of the A110 VCO from Dofa, and various processing in the little modular rig, which I'll explain. All right, that's what we're doing tonight. Let's go. Okay, for this setup, let's start over in the Pro1. So the first thing to point out is we're using the DIN, the 5-pin DIN, the MIDI cable, old school MIDI. No USB shenanigans today, and that's coming out of my little USB interface up there. Can you see that? It's that one there. Oh, I can't point and hold a camera. Okay, so that's the MIDI bit as requested in the question. Now this white cable on the Pro1, oh, something just fell off, and the Pro1 is labelled gate. So if you follow the white signal over here, it's trapped under my headphones. Let's move my headphones. Let's put them on the floor where they'll be safe. Follow the MIDI, follow the white signal. So gate is coming into the gate input of my filter. So this is an ADSR filter. Okay. So that's the first little bit of setup. So every time I hit a note on the keyboard, the gate is triggered. And actually, because I've got it all plumbed in, you can see when I hit a note on the keyboard, you can see that light bulb on there. Okay, let's do it again. Pop, pop. There we go. So the gate absolutely works from the Pro1 through DIN. The black cable here, let's take a look at it to remind ourselves on the Pro1, that's keyboard CV. Interestingly, some might say, or some might not say, Behringer sort of varies what it calls some of these controls. I think on the 303 rip-off, that's labelled something a bit different. But anyway, so it's keyboard CV we want, and let's follow this black cable down. And again, let's try and get a shot of this, and this is going in to my Dofer VCO into 1 volt per octave there. And now, let's try and get a proper shot. Let's just walk through how this patch is set up. This patch is set up as a typical East Coast subtractive synthesis patch. So the triangle wave comes out of here into my filter. Okay, the audio, so that's audio signal into the filter. Then the audio signal from the filter comes out of the filter into my voltage controlled amplifier VCA here. Okay, so that's the audio signal VCA. Yep, the red one there. Now the green output here of the ADSR envelope comes this one that goes into the VCA. Therefore, typical East Coast, typical Moog type subtract synthesis. So that is working as an amp envelope, not a filter envelope. If I had another ADSR envelope, I could set up a filter envelope as well. So this is really, really basic subtractive synthesis patch. Okay, so we're controlling the amplitude with the envelope, and also we're obviously feeding the actual audio signal in the red one. And then this green output of the VCA just comes into my little mixer here at the end, and then as usual the output of the mixer goes into the effects module Z5000 and then out to my mixer through this cable here. So we've got the modular set up as a basic Moog style subtractive synthesizer. One other little thing going on that's not super important for the sound, this connector here comes out of my LFO module, and this goes into the CV input of the filter, and depending on the speed I set that LFO, that switch there, that'll give me some nice filter sweeping, so basically a kind of wah-wah effect. That's the setup. Let's hear how it sounds. Okay, first things first, let's satisfy ourselves that we can hear the Pro1. So I've got the main output at the back there coming into the mixer. So when I hit a note, lovely stuff. That is the Pro1. That's how we're setting that up there. We've got a saw wave and a saw and a triangle wave from oscillator 2. So that's our nice Pro1. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to mute the master volume down, so that's gone. And now on the mixer I'm going to put the modular volume up, and now we're down in modular world. So let me just put the camera stand down so I can play it properly. So we hear nothing. Oh no, there we go. So there we're hearing the triangle wave out of the VCO as I play a note. So it works, and it's as simple as that. So we're taking a MIDI signal from my Z1 in this case into my DAW, and then we're routing it back out of the DAW through my MIDI cable into my interface into the Pro1 via MIDI, and then taking CV out of the Pro1 into my modular. So absolutely we can confirm that the Pro1 will deliver control voltage. Yeah, these two guys over 5-pin DIN MIDI. Get me worms right. And I've set the, let's just take a zoom in if we can, if my crappy old vintage camera stand will allow it. This is the ADSR envelope set to everything's 12 o'clock. Let's take the release away. Now actually what we're hearing is we're hearing the Z5000 as well. So let's just take the Z5000 away. So, and let's put the release to a nice long setting. Lovely. So our sort of voltage controlled envelope is behaving exactly as we'd want it to. Awesome. So set this to your taste. I quite like a nice long, a slow attack and a long release sound. I'll mix in Z5000. It's on a reverb setting. Lovely, lovely, lovely stuff. I'll add in some LFO onto the filter. Quite a fast LFO, so we just hear it. There we go. And of course, because we've got the Pro1 plumbed in, let's start to add that to the signal. You can hear the Pro1 strike up straight away. Let's just turn that down a bit on the mixer. Oh, how... Oh, camera's a bit wonky. That's as good as it's going to get. How good does that sound? Lovely. So there we have a bit of Pro1 playing along to the modular, but actually basically the Doepfer. I think that's their basic voltage controlled oscillator VCO. Okay, let's call it a day. If you're new here, this is exactly the kind of thing we do all the time. We play with synthesizers. I know very little. I do these videos to learn. That's why I'm here. If you've got any good ideas or questions, good ideas. Actually, an idea came through on the Neutron, which I need to test from another comment, but that's for another video. But any ideas, anything like, oh, can I do this? Have you tried this? Let me know. Let me know in the comments. All right, take care, folks. Cheerio. Bye.